Hello, everyone, and welcome to a rainy qualifying session. We are in Budapest, the capital of Hungary, and today we've got 12 drivers, maybe more coming in soon. All right, let's see if we can get a little bit of audio in here. There we go. All right, so we've got Raro, Brother John, Red Baron Flex, RFX Rafa, Sakuri, Martin Sanchez, X-Max, Gator, Kenny Lefebvre, T Goldie, and Prestige. Let me pull up a little bit of our. There we go. This is our telemetry app. Going to have a little bit of a look at the weather to come. All right, we are looking at rain throughout all of qualifying. X-Max coming out early. Let's bring up a little bit of information here. So X-Max and Gator are our first drivers testing out this track. Get a little bit of that data in here. So X-Max is currently our championship leader at 111 points. He has 2 victories this season and 4 podiums in total. He's scored points at every single race that has been qualified. Oh, we've lost Martin Sanchez. Martin Sanchez loses it very early on. Let's see if someone's coming up to have a little look at what happened there. This is... Let's see, yeah. He's spun out and his tire's gone. He just lost it on the exit. Oh, that's rough for Martin. But let's make our way back up since we know that X-Max is about to be starting on his hot lap. He's coming around through Sector 3. Martin Sanchez leaves the session. Hopefully he's able to get himself back in. So here we go. Riding on board with X-Max as he accelerates down the start-finish straight. Gonna hit the brakes just a little bit before 100 meters. Comes in a little bit wide of the apex. Everyone is still testing out these conditions, seeing what they can pull off here. And we've got a Cub. A Cub has joined the session. Lifting off carefully, making his way through the later corners. And now very slow, just going 100 through that tight chicane, which should give you some sense of the ridiculous performance of these vehicles, that the slowest, most agonizingly, crawling curve is still flying at highway speeds in full wet conditions. And here we go, now we're through into Sector 3, and we've only got a couple of big 180 and 90 degree corners coming up here. Interesting little bit of verticality as we go very, very slowly through this hairpin, and then back down a second wider hairpin that opens up into the start-finish straight. And this is going to be our first lap on the boards. It's getting put down by X-Max, and let us see where it is placed. It's a 130.111. Now we're going to move back to Gator, who is about to set his lap, and it's a 130.65, half a second off of the pace. Who's going to be coming through next? It's Sakuri. Carries it a little bit deep. Oh, we've just lost Prestige. Let's see if we can see what's happened here. It looks like it's just on the exit. And yeah, Prestige into the wall. That's a rough situation, but let's see what Sakuri is going to be able to put in here as he comes around. Currently looking at a 132, 132.05. And it certainly wasn't a perfect lap, so there's still a lot that can be potentially done here. Kenny Lefebvre. We've got Rafa making sure he's behind Kenny. And Kenny looks like he is getting ready. I'm not sure. Oh, fastest lap there for Flex, 129.98. I think I'm going to take this moment once these guys are finished. Kenny Lefebvre, 129.7. The times are coming down as the drivers are testing out the conditions. Here we have Raro, who has returned after several weeks of absence. We're happy to have both of our papayas filled now. Red Baron has set at 131.776, 142. Okay, so that was not a. That was just an outlap, or maybe testing out the conditions for Robro. Alright. Gator coming up, seeing if he can set another attempt at the fastest lap here. I'm gonna take a moment now. Oh goodness, is that a tire sitting on the track? It certainly is. Ooh, a little bit of a moment there. Gator seeing what he can do with these full wets. Oh, a little bit of a material going flying there. So Gitter is unfortunately disallowed, and I'm just opening up chat now. There we go. I can now see what you are putting down. Alright, here we go. Sakuri, 1/10 up on his best right now. Kenny Flare currently sitting fastest with a 129.1. Is anyone going to be able to get into the 128s? That is the question. So here we go. Sakuri has been nice and clean through this. It's coming through. It's 126, 7, 8. A little bit of rotation. 9, 30, 31. Okay, and that's going to be a 31.2. Not able to improve on that time right now. And oh, here we go. Cub is going to see what he is able to bring to the table. So this, if I'm not mistaken, is his outlap. So I'll just take a moment and pop up a little more information for myself. This is Gator coming through. Alright, so Gator, definitely one of our podium hopefuls here. Currently seeing if he can improve, and there we go. He's right to the 1 minute 30 line, and that's enough to put him into 4th place. But I would like to see what Cub is able to do. We know that he is a very, very talented driver. And now, let us watch, in cinematic mode, what Cub is able to do. We have lost Ravro, so Ravro is not going to be any higher than 7th place. He does already have a lap in, but there's going to be no practice. And I suppose that's alright, because under these conditions, you're not going to get a super representative situation. So, Cub making his way around, carving through turns 2 and 3. And now, a little bit of a tricky corner that we're coming up to with turn 4. There's a small little kink that's not numbered, and then we carve our way over. Use as much of the exit curve as we can, but you gotta be very careful with those curves under wet conditions. You take a little bit of a wide karting line in these situations, so you can carry as much speed. Oh, Cub keeps it under control. Now he comes into the very slow chicane, down to 90 in 2nd gear before shifting up. Goes through briefly up to 5th, but takes the next corner in 4th as he takes this winding section. You just have to thread the needle through here. And now the power goes down. He races his way into the final 3 corners in turn 12. Takes them into the little loop that always reminds me of the Hockenheim Ring in Germany, which is a circuit that I would certainly love to see us get the chance to race on, even in its modern form. The old one was always a classic. Yo, another little moment there for Cub. But we're going to see what he can do. Catching a late apex, and Brother John gets himself disqualified from the session. Cub comes through, and he sets a 131.637, but he didn't use any DRS. ERS, I should say. T Goldie starting off on a hot lap, and we're going to see if T Goldie can push himself up. He's currently sitting in 9th place, but with several drivers either disqualified or absent. He is going to be starting in the top 10. That little tire keeps on freaking me out every time I see it. So, carving away down this downhill section. Ooh, a little bit of a moment there. So T Goldie, after not having any points in the first 5 races, he's one of the drivers who had been around for all of them, but he is on a point-scoring streak now, having points from Monaco, very well earned, in spite of a late retirement, but he was still classified, and then points in Great Britain and Monza. So we're going to see if he is able to get a continuation of that trend here today. You've got to be very, very, very Ginger through these sections. Speaking of which, Ginger not going to be present. This is his first absence of the season. I should probably poke him to see if he's able to show up, you know, send out a couple of extra little invites for everyone, because there are 6.5 minutes left in qualifying, and that is it. So T Goldie, the lap is still legal. He's making his way around the penultimate corners now of Sector 3. And now the wide hairpin that takes him onto the start-finish straight. The power is on, and T Goldie, he's looking to improve on a 130.7. He's not going to get that for this lap, but now he's really putting down the gas. So he's clearly fueled up for multiple laps to see what he is able to pull off here. I might take a moment to look at some of the other drivers as they're also coming around. Sakuri, is he on 6-lap-old tires? Yeah, so yeah, everyone is just running around, gonna see what sort of times they can get. You're not gonna have that much improvement or loss off of that. Who's this up ahead? That is Rafa, making sure that he is getting himself out of the way for Red Baron. He's currently got a very nice 129.89, just a little bit ahead of Rafa, and he is on an in-lap. So here we go, X-Max making a shot for the pole here. .128.8 is his current best, and he is also on an in-lap. Oh, goodness, I should stop calling these things early. Oh, moment for T Goldie, and that lap is going to be all over for him. Sakuri's coming up, and T Goldie is just going to get his way off, but oh, you know what, Sakuri's not on a hot lap either. So instead, we're going to go with Flex. Yellow flag's up ahead as there are 2 cars trying to get out of each other's way here. Flex carrying all the speed that he dares in these tricky, treacherous conditions. He's a little bit deep, but it's not disallowed. And Martin Sanchez is back in the session. He is retired out, but he has qualified in P11 because he's got 2 cars behind. And that will give him, well, of course, everyone will have a free choice of tires, given that this was a wet qualifying. Goodness, I just keep on catching people on in-laps. I'm terrible at this. Heavens me. Alright, Kenny LaFleur currently on provisional pole position with a 128.581. What is going on? Alright. RFX Rafa testing out the inters, and I'm very interested to see what sort of pace he's able to get on these things. Now, normally in F1, in real life, you'll find if they can run any sort of wets at all, they're going to run inters. Here we go. Rafa coming through, and he's not going to be able to improve on his time. That's a 131, and he's 1.6 seconds off of his best time that he has been able to set in the wets. Alright, Gator setting a purple sector. He's in 5th place right now, but with a little bit of improvement, he could bump himself up ahead of Red Baron. But then there's a full second gap between Red Baron and X-Max. So right now, Kenny, Flex, and X-Max looking to be in a very rarefied group. But I know that drivers like Gator, like Rafa, like Sakuri would love to toss themselves up there. And I know that Cub... Oh, look at that! That was it! It is Gator throwing himself through, and this is clearly showing everyone the conditions have changed. Let's have a look at these cars. Intermediates for X-Max, intermediates for Red Baron. Rafa, of course, is out. Sakuri going for his intermediate. So yeah, every driver who has, oh goodness, a little bit of a moment there for Cub, but he keeps it under control. He's not going to throw it away right here. All right. Here we go. X-Max going to try and set an outlap because Gator has demonstrated that the intermediates are now the way. Rafa was just a little bit ahead of his time there, but I'll bet that he's going to be looking to set something right now. In fact, that might have been a little prep lap for him. So, X-Max coming through, hits the brakes, turn one, RFX Rafa, look at that, we did call, okay, so Rafa definitely now enjoying some very nice speeds here. But I'd like to see if X-Max, our current championship leader, is able to open this up. Able to get around T Goldie, who is also on an outlap right now. So there we go. Every single driver except Cub is current. In fact, is Cub going to set another lap? No, he's not. So right now, everyone who's set a lap on the intermediates has set the top laps in this session. So I can only imagine that X-Max is going to carve a couple of seconds off of this current time here, or at least several tenths. He's looking to beat a 128.886, but if he can get down into the 127s, which he does, 126s, X-Max just chunking it out. Here we go. Who's coming up? That's Kenny LaFleur. Let's pick up someone. It's Red Baron who's going to be coming around. Let's see if he can jump ahead of some of these guys. A slight lockup as he tries to keep control coming through the final corners. And now a nice wide entrance carving towards the inside. T Goldie isn't going to be able to improve on his time. He keeps it legal, and Red Baron is going to come through, and he improves on his time by a full second, but he's now in that gap. He's got Flex and Kenny LaFleur with some very, very swift laps still ahead of him. Nonetheless, 6th place is a very nice place for Red Baron to be starting off. So, Kenny LaFleur, he's a little bit behind. Let's look to Flex, actually, to Sakuri, because Sakuri is going to be coming around here. And that is a 128.095. I don't think he actually caught the flag there. So, Sakuri could potentially do one more lap. And I think he'd have the energy for it. Here comes Flex, and this is going to be his final. There we go, Flex onto provisional pole, 3 tenths ahead of X-Max, and he is the first driver to take. All right, now we come to Kenny LaFleur. What can Kenny do here? Kenny now going fastest. Now we come to X-Max. Can X-Max jump Kenny? Yes, he does. A 126.4. Gator is a little ways out, so here we go. We next have RFX Rafa. Can Rafa continue the trend once again? The track is just getting faster and faster. Red Baron, what is he going to be able to do? He's down in 7th right now, but he could certainly improve, and he's going to want to do everything he can to hurl himself further up. It's a 123, 4, 5. He needs to beat a 128, and he's going to do it. 127.3, and that jumps him ahead of Gator, but now Gator is going to see if he's got an answer for that. He's coming through at 123, 4, 5, 6, 7. Gator, P5, bumps Red Baron back down. What is Sakuri going to be able to do? Because Sakuri is the last driver still on a green lap. Here we go, 124, 5. He needs to beat a 127, and he does. I believe I saw for a split second that was a 126 and change. So let's see what sort of time he's able to pull out of this. RFX Rafa on pole with a 126.278. Could this be what Rafa needs in order to get his championship charge going? X-Max running P2 ahead of Kenny LaFleur, who is 3 tenths back. Flex very, very close to Kenny with P4. And then we've got Sakuri, Gator, Red Baron, Raro, and you can see Raro, T Goldie, and Cub, 3 drivers who set their times on wets, weren't able to take advantage of the improved conditions late on. I'm going to see if I can pull. Don't have any invites that I can send, so we'll just see this session come to its end. Outside of the top 10, we've got Martin Sanchez with no time, Prestige with no time, Brother John had time, got disqualified, so he's going to be starting from the very back of the grid. So look into strategy. I'm going to expect a bunch of one-stops, but with a safety car, you could absolutely see people start to aim for the 2-stop strategies, especially if their races get compromised early on. So once again, this is Formula Racing League, and this is Chaos, your commentator. 13 racers will be lining up on the grid of the, let's see, I'm trying to remember the name. It's Nagydi Magyarország or something like that. Hungarians in the chat. If the one viewer is a Hungarian, please correct me on that. But I know that Nagy means like great or big or important in Hungarian. So Nagydi or something like that is the word for Grand Prix. Because, you know, English decided to use a French word, but I figure you can use whatever language you wish to have your big grand prize race. All right, waiting to get all our drivers in. So let's talk a little bit about the championship. Right now, X-Max has a lead, 111 points. He is ahead of Flex. Both of them have been scoring some very consistent big results, but Flex has a couple of bad races that have cost him. So we always talked, the joke early on last season was that Flex was just flexing over everyone. He was taking absolutely dominant performances and was looking unassailable until he had a little bit of misfortune and a little bit of absence through a couple of races, and that's what really allowed Camborne, with just raw consistency, regular high-scoring results, to pull ahead of him in the championship. And then we've got drivers like Cub, who really enjoy qualifying low and then racing through as a form of challenge. So he's always a little bit of a wild card. Anyways, Cub is currently third in the championship with 64 points, including 2 victories. Camborne is at 61 points, ahead of Rafa, Sukuri, Ginger, Brother John, Gator, Martin Sanchez, Mega Man, Luke Brax, who is not here today, and then we have Prestige, Kenny LaFleur, who amazingly has actually only had 3-point scoring races all season long, so he's definitely looking to get his charge on the way. El Sucio Dan, Red Baron, Ian Brax, Balzac, Raro, Sheer Insanity, and T Goalie. Everyone else who is in the championship standings is currently not present for this race. That would be Taylor Funk, Fiji Domo, who we miss and hope will be back soon, Nameless Nate, and Santi. So, we're having a little look as our cars make their way around. We've got dry conditions for the race. Let's have a little bit of a look at that. What are we looking at for the session? It's going to be very, very small chance of precipitation. So we're looking at a dry race, a very strategically standard race. So Rafa leads X-Max. And let's have a little look back. We've got Kenny LaFleur. Let's hide that UI. Flex leads Sakuri, leads Gator, who is very far back for some reason. Gator ahead of Red Baron and Raro. Raro just ahead of T Goldie and Cub. T Goldie also weirdly out of position. Martin Sanchez, Prestige, and Brother John, who will be starting from 13th on the grid. So here we go. Let's have a little look at the tires that we're going to have here. So I want to look at interval position change. All right, softs. It's a mix of softs and mediums all over the place here. So everyone with free choice, much like we're going to have in future games. All right. There we go. All the way through the grid, and here is what our poleman sees. What's going to come? 5 lights held, and they're off. Alright, we got a little bit of swinging around here. A little bit of a challenge up the inside by X-Max. Rafa holds an outside line. Oh, and they've got a sideways Red Bull. That's some damage. We've got damage to Prestige. Sakuri dropping down to the very back, but Sakuri's car seems to be unaffected. Prestige is really having some trouble here. Raro, a little ways back on Brothertron. He got caught up in that as well, I believe. And then we've got Brothertron chasing Martin Sanchez, who's up a couple of positions. C. Goldie taking it a little wide. Cub, Gator, Red Baron, Kenny LaFleur, looking like he could maybe throw a little move on Flex, but it's very hard to do that here. And then we've got a tight group to the lead. It's Flex, X-Max, and Kenny LaFleur continues to lead. Look at the pace that Kenny has here. So from the start, it's really a story of Raro, Sakuri, and Prestige having a really, really rough time off of the start. They're going to have to come back from that. Let's put in some other information here because I think that the tires are going to be the story that will explain what's going on here. So drivers like Red Baron are going to be looking very, very aggressive, although we do know that the guys in front of him are sort of the top challengers in this cup, so he might just hope to follow close behind them for the time being. Then we've got Gator, who's going to have a little bit of trouble overtaking someone who's on... Oh, look at that. Cub right on the back of him, getting a big slipstream here. And Cub throws it up the inside. And that is a nice move by Cub as he takes it in turn 1 from Gator. Ooh, a little bit of a moment there. And I see that Prestige has gone into the pits, repairing that first lap damage that he obtained, courtesy of Sakuri's side pod placed laterally across the track. So Cub now right on the back of Red Baron, and he's hoping to continue his charge. You can see that Cub has gone for the aggressive strategy of having the softs early on where he knows that he can make up a gap. We've got a couple of dark clouds off in the distance, but I don't think we're going to see anything too much off of that. Oh, looks like we've had a moment from Martin Sanchez, who I think he's cooked his tires a little bit because there's a bunch of drivers around. Oh, he's got right wing damage. Something happened to Martin Sanchez and his wing has been clipped. So now, what's he going to do? He's on the mediums. Is he going to perhaps aim for a soft medium strategy? It's either way, it's a rough situation for Martin, who once again is finding his race really getting sabotaged early on. So Red Baron currently corking a bottle ahead of Cub, but I expect that Cub is going to try and make his charge here. He got a good run on him. Martin Sanchez drops into the pits. Cub throws a move up the inside. Is Red Baron going to take the wider line through there? Yes, he is, and he's not able to get the pace that he needs in order to take the position right back. But were I in Red Baron's boots, I would probably be happy to now have Cub ahead of me, since there are a few things that can eat at your mind more than having Cub racing directly behind you. There's a moment as Raro sneaks through, and Sakuri going sideways, backwards, spinning into a wall, and that is major damage. Front wing completely gone for Sakuri, and he's going to now be working to come back from here. This leaves 10 drivers who've so far avoided critical race-harming incidents. This is Brother John chasing down Raro, who hasn't had the start he would have wanted, but oh, there's a moment. Gator has gone wide, and that has allowed T. Goldie through. So Gator having a couple of moments off, and now Raro making a move up the inside of Gator, and Gator probably with some hot tires right now is going to let that one go as Raro moves up into P8. Oh, and look at that. It looks like Gator is actually going for an early pit stop. I'm not reading any damage off of him, but he's definitely acting as if that's the case. So here we've got Prestige and Martin Sanchez right on each other towards the back, but that's far, far away from where the fight is happening for the lead. So Gator in the pits. Sakuri will be doing the same shortly. It's painful having to do a full lap without a front wing, especially at a circuit such as the Hungary. So here we go. You can see the lines. Both of them taking a slightly different route. Rafa a little bit more compromised at the very beginning and then taking less of the curb. X-Max are really going aggressively over the secondary curb to your left. So Sakuri drops into P13 as Sanchez and Prestige both take the position off of him. And X-Max is right on the back, and now I think it's time for us to start looking at a little bit of the telemetry. because this is now important information. Look at that. Look at that difference. Rafa is doing everything he can to hold off X-Max, but X-Max is just sitting right all around the back. Hello, we've got a spun out Haas, and that is Martin Sanchez. Goodness, a bad day just gets worse for Martin Sanchez, but he's still a ways ahead of Sukuri. Here we go, here's our move. Rafa had nothing left to defend it, and X-Max spends 20% of his ERS and is able to snatch first place from Rafa. Now, what can Rafa do in order to take this back? Right now, looking at the positions, we've got a 2-second gap back to Flex, who is closely followed by Kenny LaFleur. Both of these guys running on the medium, so their strategy is going to be faster later on in the race. And then we've got Cub, who's been just making his way up, taking a real nice fast line through the start of Sector 2. And he's going to be all over the back of these guys. There's a 3-second gap back to Red Baron. And then we've got Raro and T Goldie, so we might also be seeing a little bit of action happening there in a moment. So I'm going to pop back and see what Raro can do here. So Raro has had a compromised start to his race, but he hasn't really dropped too far back. Oh, Martin Sanchez into the pit again, because he's, of course, another wing damage, and he's retired. He's just decided that this race is finished. So Martin Sanchez, our first retirement from the race. And then there were 12. So we've got Raro putting the pressure onto T Goldie. We'll take T Goldie and have a little bit of a look back. He doesn't have a lot with which he can defend. Raro is fairly close. DRS flap is open, and here we go. Here comes the move. Looking to the other side. I've looked the wrong way. Look at that. Raro just slips it up the inside. Beautiful block pass, and T Goldie drops down to 8th position. Raro is now once again right behind his teammate Red Baron. So after his misfortune, bit of confusion and drop positions earlier on, Raro finds himself basically back where he would have otherwise been. Meanwhile, further ahead, we've still got Kenny LaFleur right on the back of Flex, and Cub actually not closing right up onto them just yet. We are starting to get a little bit of wear. Let's see where the soft tires are. We're actually getting up to about 39% on Rafa's, so his softs are definitely going to be starting to drop in performance now. But Kenny and Flex aren't going to need to worry about that so much. They're not any worse than 16%, and that's a 3-second time penalty for Gator, who has gone on to the hards. Bold move by Gator. And he's way out in the middle of nowhere right now, sitting in P10, 23 seconds off of the back of Brojo. Suguri also picking up a time penalty, so when you're time trialing, these are easy things that can very, very possibly happen to you. So Kenny LaFleur maintaining a 4/10 gap behind Flex, but he hasn't made any moves towards overtaking yet, and Flex isn't spending that much in order to stay ahead. So this appears to be a close but stable fight between Flex and Kenny LaFleur. And if there's any driver who you could call unflappable, it just might be Flex. He is not going to succumb to, to intimidation by driving close and behind. And he's also now within a second of Rafa. So Flex is just now becoming even harder to overtake because during the DRS zone, and there's only 2 of them, they come in succession after the final turn and after the first turn. I don't really see an easy way for Kenny to get past. However, for Flex, I do, because Rafa has just dropped into the pits. That was smooth. I switched my sentence halfway through saying it. Alright, so Rafa is the first driver to drop into the pits on a planned stop, and now this puts Cub into 4th position. Kenny LaFleur still not going to be able to get past Flex because Flex has this brief moment of DRS, but now that is gone. He is 3 seconds behind X-Max, who's looking dominant right now, as Rafa is going to be coming out of the pits a little ways behind Brother John. So let's pop over and see Rafa on his medium tires. So he could potentially be going for a long, long run on the mediums, which is certainly possible. Or he could be going for the 2-stop. We got a yellow, and that's Red Baron. Red Baron with a little bit of a moment. We'll see if he slowly gets back on the power. You know that your most vulnerable moment. Oh, a VSC actually comes up for that. So in a way, that is very, very fortunate. Sakuri dropping into the pits. What's this? Oh no! Speeding in the pit lane. Under a safety car. Alright, so X-Max is going to use this VSC to get a cheaper pit stop. Flex and Kenny, of course, no sense in them getting off of these mediums just yet. They're barely even at 20% wear. So they get ahead, and oh, look at that. X-Max onto the hards. Oh, Cub picks up a 5-second penalty, too. It's a bad day to be a league founder. Glad I'm not racing today, clearly. Something even worse might have happened to me. So T Goldie emerges ahead of X-Max, but X-Max is now sitting very comfortably, and DRS is enabled as the flags go green once again. So not everyone was able to get the fast ops, and Cub now comes out right behind RFX Rafa. So you can see the huge advantage that Cub got there. So this is Rafa, previously pole sitter. Now he's second place among drivers who've already pitted. And now we're seeing fewer and fewer cars on the fastest tire. Really, it's only Brother John. He's not really close to anyone right now. We're going to see if Cub and Rafa have a little bit of a fight here. Oh, what's this? Side by side, some action is Brother John and Gator. Alright, Gator through on Brother John. And look at that. Oh, goodness! Contact made. Gator, is he able to save it? Oh, goodness, he just saves it. Brother John, though. Oh, man, that's an ugly situation. Yeah, Brother John just braked a little bit too late. And now, just after having pitted, the Ferrari driver is going to have to go in again because that is a very badly damaged wing that he has got. According to telemetry at the very least. So now, Red Baron, who lost a little bit of position earlier, is now going to find himself right behind a very understeery Brother John. He's going to look at the inside coming into the final hairpin, but he thinks better of it. In fact, if I was on the radio with him right now, I'd say, don't worry about Brother John. He's going to go into the pits this lap. He's already lining up, and there we go. Red Baron makes his way up to 8th position. And with oh, hello, we've got to change position as X-Max makes his way through on T Goldie. Ooh, that was close again. T Goldie nearly losing. We've lost Cub. We have lost Cub. Just coming his way through. We're going to see what happens from Rauer's perspective as Cub loses it on the exit, smashes into the wall, and that is the end of Cub's race. The full safety car is out. Brother John is in the pit, so this is very, very merciful for Brother John. Sakuri also. This is actually going to... Let's see, what's going to happen here? Because I can only imagine all these drivers would want to go in, but look at that. This is actually going to wreck things for Flex because Sakuri is his teammate. They're both on the Red Bull, and this is going to cost Flex absolute... Oh, look at that, Sakuri. What a bro. What a gentlemanly move from Sakuri, realizing that Flex was right behind him. That is so significant that this happens, because that won't cost Sakuri at all. So, Flex into the pits, Kenny into the pits. And now let's have a look. X-Max not going to go into the pits, of course, because he has already done so. T Goldie now coming in. Rafa, no need to go into the pits, but he's going to be able to get past these two cars ahead. Is he going to be able to come out ahead? Yeah, of Sakuri, of course, yes. That does make sense. T Goldie gets his pit stop. Raro coming around. He doesn't need it, of course. He's already on the hards, as is Red Baron. Brother John picks up a speeding under the safety car penalty, which is... well, crappy, is probably what I would say, were I in his shoes. Gator finds himself in P9, and this kind of surprising that he hasn't gotten off of the hards, but I suppose these will go to the end, so there's not really a value add to him switching out his tires just now. So, we look to the cars who have already caught up with the safety car. We got Flex, we've got X-Max, and we've got Kenny LaFleur. Rafa in there too, and I see Bravo has just about caught up with this group. Raro leads T Goldie, he's still 8 seconds behind, but this is going to completely close his gap up to the leaders. Rafa is going to be on the fastest tires of this group. Look at that. Everyone else in the top 8 on the hard tires. So, well, clearly, this is a track where people feel that the hards are not so much of a loss that they're not worth using. Hungary's a weird course. I always like thinking of Monaco, but the barriers are a little bit further out. So Sakuri currently sitting a lap down here, and this might be a moment where I would consider seeing if there is a proper unlap procedure here, because that would be smart for him to do right now, but it is what it is, and sometimes you just find yourself in a bit of a bad situation. I suppose Sakuri could have gone out, avoided falling a lap down, and then pitted on this lap, which is often the move to make. During a full safety car, at least. So, Prestige coming around, and Prestige is about to catch up. Making his way just around the final corner right now. Brother John is short ways back, but of course Brother John is going to have that penalty hanging over his head. Never a pleasant situation to find yourself in. So Prestige now making his way in, and let's have a little look at the number of pit stops. Yeah, it's the 3 stops for Sakura in the first 12 laps. That's just it's race wrecking to have that many misfortunes befall you early on. So, Brother John is now back, and now I would expect that the safety car is going to inform us that it is coming back in this lap. So, Flex currently leading behind the safety car. Clearly, everyone is expecting the safety car restart as they're spinning up the tires, just getting heat into them, rolling from one side of the track to the other, and there we have it. It's the call. Safety car is in this lap. So we've got Flex, X-Max, Kenny LaFleur, and Rafa, your top 4, leading Raro. Rafa's going to be in an interesting position here, because he has a lot of tire advantage on these guys, and will for several laps. So here we go. What is Flex going to do? The safety car pulls into the pits. Power's on. Let's see how the response is. Flex has it. And it looks like everyone has gotten a pretty clean start away. Prestige might actually have a bit of a run. Gator taking a look up the inside of Red Baron, and he's going to chuck it. Red Baron leaves lots of space. Sakuri just letting everyone through, dealing with the blue flags. And now, very, very tight line. Oh! Not given the space by Red Baron, and Prestige has to back out of that move, and it almost allows Brother John to make an attack. Up ahead, we've got up the inside. Gator seizes position off of T Goldie. Baron and Prestige. Oh, Red Baron clearly feeling that he'd been in the wrong there, letting Prestige take the position. Very considerate of him, and yeah, probably realized, oh, I just shoved him clear off the track there. So Prestige takes P8, and Prestige is going to be on the warpath. He is the one driver who decided to put on the softs, and it's going to demand another pit stop from him soon. Which is a difficult situation to find yourself in, but if he can make up enough positions soon enough... Look at... Oh my goodness, that was bold! T Goldie saw it coming and left space, and that's actually going to let Prestige just go right around the outside. Look at the incredible overspeed there. T Goldie rightly saying, oh my god, what is this madman doing? But Prestige now is charging up behind Gator. Rafa hasn't been able to capitalize on his mediums. So far, he's just leading in this front group, and Prestige is going to want to bridge up ahead of Gator and ahead of Raro as fast as he possibly can. So here they come, Raro, Gator, Prestige, T Goldie, and we're going to see what exactly this Williams is able to do it's got just a brief period where it is the absolutely deadliest thing on the track right now. Gator takes a little bit of a compromise line, and that allows Prestige to get right on the back of him. Is Prestige going to do something absolutely nuts here as well? No, surely not. He goes through 110 kilometers an hour. He's so fast on Gator, but he backs off. Gator, knowing the threat, Prestige just has to avoid taking wing damage here as he is stuck behind. There's really no overtaking opportunities through the later half of Sector 2, but now he might throw it up the inside of Gator. He doesn't quite have enough speed. He's gonna do it! Goodness, Prestige doing these absolute nutty moves coming into turn 12. You love to see someone trying to do it and also managing to keep it clean. Gator leaving space, but now... Oh, goodness! Prestige! He was pushing too hard. He needed that, and now the gamble's over. So Brother John has served his penalty. Prestige has cooked his tires, and now with several seconds back by Red Baron, his gamble to get up into a high position, maybe hope for another safety car, has fallen. But RFX Rafa, we're going to now look at him since he looks like he also has the chance to be a mover and a shaker in this leading group. Gator also coming up behind Raro, so he might have an opportunity to do something in a little bit. So Kenny is being able to follow closely behind X-Max, who is not spinning their ERS right now. That would be Rafa, it would be Raro, it would be Red Baron, and Brother John also a lot to spare right now. He could certainly stand to be using that right now to get himself back onto the to the rear of this group, especially with Prestige having had his moment. They might be able to bridge up together. So Gator in close, Kenny LaFleur also in close. Let's see how these guys come through as they make their way towards the first turn. Gator close behind Raro. He has got DRS. Raro does not, and that's going to put Raro under a lot of threat, but there's precious few good overtaking opportunities here, especially when you go a little bit deep into that turn. So Raro through the jink. Gator really aggressive over the curves, almost getting a warning there, I imagine. But he's staying really close behind Raro, seeing what he can do to take these positions back. Raro taking a nice line through the chicane. But now all Gator needs to do is follow closely and wait for the next DRS corner. Raro has a lot of deployment that he can use in order to defend, but that's only going to last him for a couple of laps. Of course, there's only a few viable overtaking opportunities at the Hungary ring. Alright, so here we go. Here's the critical two corners. Raro needs to have as much of an advantage as possible as he comes out here. Gator needs to get a really, really nice launch. The power is on. The DRS is open, and he's only 4.5 tenths behind. Here we go. He's absolutely got this as he races along, goes up the inside, and he's going to be through even before he makes it into the braking zone. Gator up the inside of Raro for 5th place, but now Gator has a little bit of a position he needs to take back. There's going to be no overtaking opportunity, and Sakuri's had enough. He's not getting himself unlapped, not this race. There may have been points on the offer, but he was a long ways back from Brother John, and that was just going to become an ugly situation for him. So, Sakuri has decided that it is time to hang up his tires for the day. Hang up his driving gloves, I suppose, would be a better metaphor. And now there are only 10 drivers left, with Cub having crashed out, Martin Sanchez and Sakuri both having realized that this race was not going to provide anything particularly good for them. Although, honestly, with so few people showing up, there's always, a little bit of a moment there for Rauercopter. And that actually might allow T. Goldie to start putting a bit of an offense on towards Raro. So we've got a barely holding together DRS train at the front. Let's have a little look at that. It's X-Max followed by Kenny, followed by Rafa. You can see the flaps are open for both Kenny and Rafa, allowing them to get close, but then they fall back a little bit throughout the lap. So I feel like the best overtaking opportunity, because Kenny can get close to X-Max, but X-Max is not going to open a door for him. Although, look at that. He has had to spend quite a bit of his energy recovery. Nonetheless, I feel like T. Goldie and Ravro has the potential of coming together into a fight, but for the moment, I think it would be most satisfying to watch this on board with Kenny LaFleur. I see that Prestige, by the way, has a little bit of front wing damage, and we commented on that early. He's clearly content to just run the rest of this soft bit of the race, and then pit for, well, I imagine mediums, and then be prepared to pit again for softs if the full safety car comes out again. That's got to be the Prestige plan right now. Kenny pushing it to its limits right now, and Rafa still holding within DRS range. Kenny setting some green sectors right now, so he is flying at the moment. We should actually just have a look and see detail. What's our fastest laps right now? There we go, it's currently X-Max with a 118.2. So still, Kenny not getting close to that, but the fact that he's doing this on the hards really says something about the pace that he's carrying right now. It's all about these lead four right now. Flex, X-Max, Kenny LaFleur, and Rafa. Of course, Rafa is the one in the most awkward position right now. Prestige going into the pits. He has had enough with those softs, and he's now going to put on mediums to the end. I'm almost sure of it. Brother John coming through, and he's going to be able to take P9 from this. Prestige coming in, and what has he got in store? I see yellow. And there we have it. Prestige putting on some scrub mediums that he used earlier in qualify. Why does he have scrub mediums? Huh. Well, no matter. Maybe those are the ones he wore at the beginning of the race. Alright. So, RFX Rafa currently following Kenny LaFleur, who is running really close to the back of X-Max, but X-Max is showing no vulnerabilities in his defense. But still, things are looking amazing for Flex right now. The safety car couldn't have turned out better for him, especially with Sakuri getting out of the way for him. It could have been disastrous. Instead, it was a master stroke. Kenny getting within 6/10 of X-Max, but that is as close as he is able to get. We are now at 20 out of 35 laps here. We're looking at 4/7 of the race done, just a little ways past the halfway point. And everyone is running on some manner of oldish tire, except for Prestige, who is on the comparatively swift mediums at only 2 laps of wear. So he'll be able to take those to the end. So if anyone else finds themselves needing to pit, they may be vulnerable to Prestige, but at the moment, Prestige just finds himself way out in the middle of nowhere, off 16 seconds behind Brother John. He's going to close on him eventually, especially if Brother John makes any mistakes. That's the reverse commentator's curse right there. I wasn't saying that Brother John was doing perfectly and flawless. But anyways, Rafa, currently running in 4th place behind Kenny LaFleur. The only penalty that's relevant for the leading groups is the one that is currently sitting over top of Gator, since everyone else who had penalties has retired from the race. Green sector for T. Goldie as he sets a fast sector 2, but go on board with T. Goldie. He is currently chasing down Robert, but he's not able to get close enough to get within that DRS range. Still, it's a very real fight between these two. T. Goldie has very, very slightly younger tires. But he's also got to be concerned. Red Baron having a very similar race to his teammate, currently running P8. Could be picking up some very nice and appreciated points here. Brother John in P9, 17 seconds clear. Prestige is slowly pulling him in. But Prestige, as you can see, is a long, long, long ways behind. We're going to have a little bit of a look as Brother John just comes around the final corner. As Prestige, goes around the first corner, as Prestige comes around the final corner. So, a little bit of a lonesome race for Prestige for the moment, but he can still potentially salvage something, especially if other drivers make mistakes. And mistakes are the name of the game in Formula 1. Or, in the words of the immortal Murray Walker, F1 spelt backwards is if. Red Baron picks up a 3-second time penalty. Easy to happen on this circuit, especially in Sector 2. There's lots of corners where you want to run them as wide or as cut as possible. So, Kenny LaFleur, staying close to X-Max. X-Max isn't having to spend absolutely everything that he has. Flex is enjoying the clean air out front, which will just be sabotaging all of his opponents, since they're all having to run in the dirtiest start there behind, which I'm not 100% sure how that affects the wear model in this game, but in real life that's certainly not an optimal situation to be in. So Gator, currently running P5, is falling steadily behind these guys. He's got a little bit of a gap to Raro. It is quite a spectacle seeing these four vehicles all in DRS range of each other. And in the fight for the lead, it's even more of a treat. Let's consider where these guys are in the championship right now. Flex is the biggest threat to X-Max. And currently he is sitting 25 points off of X-Max. So if something happened to X-Max and Flex held his position, this championship would be tied right now. As it is, Flex is going to narrow the gap just a little bit. Kenny LaFleur, meanwhile, is way down in the championship, so he's on for his best result that's just going to catapult him way up, probably about 8 or 9 positions in the championship. RFX Rafa, currently P5, but he's in a close battle with Cub and Camborne. Cub, of course, won't be scoring anything today, and Camborne the same. This is, of course, Camborne's third missed race of the season, so it's going to make his championship defense that much harder, since regular point scoring was the cornerstone of Cam's championship, and if he's not able to get that, he's going to need to pull out a couple of wins against some very, very fast opponents. So that's our top four, and they're all holding this DRS train open right now. Everyone within 8/10 of the driver ahead as they come through. It's a beautiful sight. Red Bull, Aston Martin, Alfa Romeo, Alpha Tauri. So the question is, how are the tires holding up for Rafa? The answer, eager listener, is sitting around 37% on the rear left. Everything else is fresher than that. So Rafa, having already done 15 laps on that, could pretty comfortably do another 15, and he doesn't need to. He only needs to go another 10. So this is actually a pretty advantageous situation for him. Brazilian fans waving their flag for their boy there. As Flex comes around, leading X-Max Kinney and, once again, RFX Rafa. Now, a key point here is going to be keeping this race clean, because a penalty right now, with all these drivers running as close as they are, is just going to be absolutely lethal. Elsewhere in the race, I will take us for a moment to have a little look at T. Goldie. So T. Goldie has gotten right on the back of Raro, but I'm not going to want to look at that too much because there's an exciting battle happening for the lead here. And when that's happening, we really can't bring ourselves to look away until they're past the big overtaking opportunities. X-Max getting really close to Flex here. He's got a lot of ERS, but so does Flex. So does Kenny, so does Rafa, honestly. So let's have a little bit of a look back, see if T. Goldie is going to be able to do anything to Raro on this lap. He's gotten close. He's going to have another shot. A little bit of over-rotation there, and that's going to be all that Raro needs to defend himself once again on this lap. We ride on board with RFX Rafa, who pursues Kenny LaFleur. He wants this podium. He's very safe from behind. Gator is slowly falling back, maybe half a second a lap. On those heavily worn hard tires, there's not a great deal that Gator is going to be able to do. So it's all then a question. Who is going to blink first? Who is going to make the mistake? X-Max was previously in control of this race after taking it early on from Rafa. And then some fortuitous safety car timing threw the lead to Flex, and X-Max hasn't been able to punish him for that. Lovely helicopter shot of the leaders coming through. Rafa, the closest to losing contact with this group. And T Goldie now is getting real close. He's got to run on Raro, and here we go, coming up the inside. They pass, they're side by side, and as they make their way in, T Goldie takes the position from Raro. We were talking about that potentially coming up for a couple of laps, and now T Goldie has been able to grab 6th position. This, and now I'm going to do it. This is the commentator's curse. If he is able to keep 6th position, T Goldie will have absolutely blown all of his results previously through the season out of the water. So far, he hasn't been able to get higher than a 9th place, so this would be a great big haul of points for him. He goes a little bit wide there, which allows Raro to get back in close. But it looks like T Goldie's going to be secure here. We're going to see if Raro is able to stay within DRS range, because if so, this battle could potentially trade its way back and forth a few more times. But we're going to take a moment to go on board with Kenny LaFleur, who is sitting 7/10 off the back of X-Max 1912. Just a little bit of expended energy, but once again, there is no move that is forthcoming here. Raro has stayed close enough, I think, to keep that ERS less. Yep, there we go. So the DRS opens up, and Raro expends. There's nothing for T Goldie. He's almost at the point of derating. But there we go. Raro just barely holding it at the limit of 1 second. He's still going to have DRS for this straight, but what can he do with it? It might even throw him a little bit deep and compromise his corner here. And if he isn't able to hold that 1 second, then I think T Goldie's just going to cruise ahead. And in fact, Goldie might be able to bring the fight to Gator. It's a definite possibility. Gator has been running a very quiet race here. The second of the 2 Alfa Romeos, you could see that that was a Gator, his rival, T Goldie, just showing up at the very end of a long shot. Right now, Kenny LaFleur very close to the back of X-Max, but X-Max has so much deployment that he can use here, and he's close to the back of Flex, and Flex is fast enough to lead that once again, I just don't see an opportunity appearing for any of these guys. It's all about forcing a mistake, and they're all too consistent to be forced into a mistake. So here's Gator, here's T Goldie, currently with a delta of 4.2 seconds to the 5th place driver. Is there any opening for T Goldie? He needs to save up his ERS for a little bit, but I mean, he also needs to spend it if he wants to catch up to Gator. Of course, there's penalties hanging over Gator's head, so let's have a look at that. 3 seconds. So if T Goldie can close within 3 seconds, then that is 5th for T Goldie, which is just going to be a beautiful haul of points. 10 points if I'm not mistaken, to the 4 that he currently has this season. However, for the moment, it looks like he's traveling at just about the same pace as the car ahead. So there's not a window opening up, not an opportunity just yet, but things could change. And this being a race where you can blow everything in 1 split second, things absolutely can change. So, Red Baron currently sitting a little ways back. Brother John running 13.7 seconds behind Red Baron, and Prestige has closed his gap to Brother John to 7 seconds, and you know that he wants to double his points and get that 9th place, salvage something out of this week, for a race that hasn't really gone his way. So we come here on lap 29 through the 2nd DRS straight, no changes of position once again. Flex, X-Max, Kenny LaFleur, RFX Rafa. Lots of X's in this group. only Kenny LaFleur resisting the urge to have X in his name. Although, now that I've said that, if he listens to this, he's probably going to show up as Kenny LaFleur or something like that next time. So you see the Alfa Romeo, along with its rivals, carving their way in a tight little train here, and you can see that T. Goldie has been able to drop Bravo, clearing him by perhaps a second a lap right now. So the leaders at this point in the race absolutely have pace on everyone else. Gator has dropped back to 11.5 seconds behind. T. Goldie is fluctuating up and down by a couple of tenths. He's clearly gapping Robert fairly comfortably, but the question is, will he be able to, in the next 5.5 laps, close the gap to Gator? Or, to phrase the question the other way, will Gator be able to hold onto his pace on 24-lap old, hard tires? With his telemetry unshared, we have no sense of where exactly his tire wear is going to be at. But looking at his pace next to Rafa, it, I imagine, would be fairly severe wear. So Rafa, currently everyone now within half a second of each other. This front group, if possible, is just somehow managing to get tighter. The only driver with any real difference of performance here is Rafa, and that's because he's running the mediums and he is using a little bit more of his energy recovery systems. However, in spite of that, he hasn't been able to really make any dent, any indentation on any of these drivers ahead of him. They're all just racing beautiful, flawless. I mean, you know, you can be a nitpicker and point out flaws everywhere, but these guys are all operating within a close enough window of performance that they're all staying in constant DRS contact. I think T. Goldie's attempt to catch Gator is just not going to happen. He's dropped back to 5.5 seconds behind Gator now, possibly made a small mistake, and it looks like the window for T. Goldie to catch Gator might be closing around now. He's sitting at 32% wear on his hard tires, which are going to comfortably make it to the end of the race without any appreciable loss of performance. However, Bravo hasn't been able to close in on T. Goldie because of this. So that just might be the ossification of positions further down in the grid. But right now, for the top four, every corner matters. It's not necessarily for the overtakes, but again, it's for the penalties, as Rafa takes a slightly too fast line through the chicane, but he still stays within 1 second. So, place yourself in the shoes of each of these drivers. Flex, at the moment, is just going to be managing. He is just time trialing. He is just sitting here, looking around, wondering if the clouds are going to change at all. Spoiler alert, they're not. Thinking, okay, I am on slightly fresher tires than the driver behind me. He gets DRS every single time. I'll have a little look back at him. There he is. He gets close during the braking zone, but what's X-Max going to do? Flex was able to play a nice hand perfectly in order to take the lead, and now he is not giving X-Max any opportunity to snatch it back. And of course, a 1-2 finish isn't going to have that huge of a swing in the championship, but that is the sort of thing that Flex needs to do in order to demonstrate to X-Max, hey, don't take your lead too casually, because Flex absolutely has the ability to just take chunks out of it if you let the pressure off for a second. Then we have Kenny LaFleur. We all know how good Kenny LaFleur is, but he doesn't have many points so far this season. No podiums, nothing better than what I believe is a 4th place in, in Austria. So, for a first podium of the season would certainly be welcome for him. But what windows does he potentially have? He is often the closest of these drivers, so he wants to try and force X-Max into a mistake, but being forced into a mistake is not something that comes easily to X-Max. Rara picks up a 3-second time penalty, but that will most likely have very little effect. And T. Goldie's assault on Gator's gap has clearly run its course. He is 7 seconds behind Gator, and unless Gator picks up another time penalty in the next couple of laps, I don't see any way for T Goldie to improve on his position. Nonetheless, his current position is looking very good. Finally, we've got Prestige. He's a greyhound, just loping along in the back, faster than the vehicle ahead, but it's a 4.5 second gap. Can he close in 1.5 seconds each lap? Because right now, yeah, you know what? He says, no, I can't. But do you know what I can do? I can get fastest lap. If I was Brother John, I'd now consider pitting for softs. I mean, what have you got to lose? Worst case scenario, you crash and are classified 10th. I suppose worst case scenario for him is maybe losing 1 point. But we'll go on board now with X-Max, who comes up behind Flex, but does he maybe have a run this time? He's spending a lot of his energy recovery, but it's not enough. You can see how close X-Max is, and X-Max was clearly waiting to spend his deployment now, because this is the attack. We're on lap 34 of 35 of the FRL Championship, coming to you from Hungary. This is the 9th round of the championship. We have been to 8 courses. We will be to how many more? We will be to 8 more courses. This is the midpoint of the season. X-Max wants to stamp his authority on this and say, I don't care if you get a beneficial strategy because of safety car. I can still take the win. However, look at this. I think that X-Max has fired all that he can. Flex now has a lot left to deploy, and X-Max doesn't have very much at all that he can use. In fact, by spending it here, he's maybe putting himself in a vulnerable position to Kenny LaFleur. RFX Rafa is dropping back just a little bit because this is an up in pace from the guys at the front. So Prestige is going to be going for his fastest lap, and we will go on board for that fastest lap attempt. Here we go. This is the last realistic overtaking opportunity for X-Max in this corner and the next. He's down to 2%, recharges, and he's just keeping his ERS on. Gonna see if he can get anything, but that little kick is all she wrote for X-Max's attack. Flex is just casually sitting at a half-full battery. There is nothing that X-Max has been able to do that has had any sort of effect. Kenny LaFleur, though, hasn't been able to capitalize too much off of this. And Rafa has actually dropped off. So Rafa is now kind of sitting pretty secure in 4th position, but without much of an opportunity to overtake anymore. We go back to Rafa, Gator, who is 12 seconds back, T Goldie, 9 seconds back, Raro, 7 seconds back, Red Baron, Brother John, and Prestige, who we will follow on the final lap, since he's actually only a little ways ahead of this lead group who are coming around for their final lap. Currently, we're going to have a little bit of a look at the detail for our fastest lap. So here we go. Oh, and there we go. Actually, he didn't even need to say that was the fastest lap going in there for Prestige right in that moment. But will he go faster? Flex takes the win. X-Max second. Kenny LaFleur P3 and Rafa P4. Gator is coming around P5. But we're going to go on board and see if Prestige is able to go even faster. Look at that. 116.951. Prestige saying, "Give me, I'll take 2 points, please." And I think that he realized that, yeah, I wasn't going to get that on track. I wasn't catching Brother John as fast as I needed to on my mediums. So why don't I see if I can improve on this? He's got a 116.951. Is he going to go even faster than that? Gator, T Goldie, and Rob have all now locked in their positions. Red Baron crosses the finish line P8, a fine result for him. Brother John is going to be coming across soon, and Prestige is flying, but is he going to go faster than a 116.951? Points in it for Prestige, of course. And here we go. Around the final corner, Prestige makes his way around. I don't think he's quite... Nope, doesn't have it. Not for the last lap. He spent it all earlier. But Prestige has it. He has fastest lap. 10th place, and that is 2 points for Prestige. Everyone who finishes the race goes home, I think, reasonably satisfied with points. And Flex, driver of the day, he took a beneficial situation and a very nicely timed safety car in order to seize that win out of the hands of X-Max. And Kenny LaFleur, for his part, takes his first podium of the year, and that's going to be a very, very fine result for him. And there you have it. It is victory for Flex. X-Max P2, Kenny LaFleur P3, Rafa not able to convert his pole position earned in a tricky wet session into a win or even a podium, unfortunately. But he can still be consoled by taking home 12 points, which will be a nice contribution to his championship tally. Then we have Gator, T. Goldie, and Robbo. T. Goldie, I mean, for my part, T. Goldie is my driver of the day. Getting that 6th place was a very, very fun result. He might have even had a chance on Gator, but in the end, 6th is still something he's going to be really, really pleased with. Raro is going to be taking 7th place, Red Baron 8th, Brother John comes through P9, and then we've got Prestige P10, Sakuri, Cub, Martin Sanchez, all of them DNFs, unable to finish the race. Alright, well hey, I'd like to thank all of you very much for tuning in to Formula Racing League. This has been Chaos for FRL. We're going to be coming back, and why don't I read to you what our schedule has for the next little bit. We're going to advance and see what is coming up. So that was Hungary. We now have a week break for Memorial Day long weekend, and then we come back in June. We've got Belgium on the 6th, we've got the Netherlands on the 13th, Monza on the 20th, Singapore on the 27th. So June is full of racing. Then we've got another week break, and then after the 4th of July, 1 week after as a matter of fact, we've got the USA Grand Prix coming to you from COTA. Then we've got Brazil, Japan, and our season finale coming to you from a race that hasn't held a season finale in some time. It'll be the Australian Grand Prix at the very start of August, and by then, we're all expecting that F1 2022 will be out. If not, we might have a couple of extra little races that we toss in onto the end of the season. This is Chaos, and for FRL, I'd like to thank all of you for tuning in, watching this live or after the fact, and I will catch you guys in a future broadcast.